Hello and welcome back to the Jazz Ranch, guys and gals. You know, when we're not out on the range riding our horses, we're in here practicing our drills and exercises. And aren't they wonderful? I know you love them, so I got another set for you. Really interesting ones coming up too. And I have a quote from the great Charlie Parker, the bird. And he said this: "You've got to learn your instrument. Then you practice, practice, practice. And then when finally you get up on the bandstand, you forget about all that and just wail, brother." I added the brother part. Anyway, that's true. It really is true. So I hope these exercises will help you to get to the point where you can get up on the bandstand and wail. So here we go. This is a 2-5-1 exercise going through the cycle of fifths, but using drop 2 voicings. Now I'm going to show and explain that. First of all, I'm going to start with a G minor chord. We're going to start with the 2-5-1 into F, just because it falls in a good place on the keyboard to start the whole series. So the way I'm voicing the chord is I'm taking it up to the first inversion, which would be the A form. First inversion, dropping the root, adding the ninth. So I'm in the first inversion of the 2 chord. Then going to the 5 chord like this. So it's G minor 9 into C9 and resolving to F major 9 like that. And then the F6. So that's what it sounds like if you play 4-note chords. Now, what happens in the drop 2 is I'm taking the second note from the top and putting it into the left hand. So I'm removing it from the right hand, and the sound is going to be like this. So now let's listen to it again. Here it is with the 4 notes in one hand. Here it is putting the 4 notes into 2 hands now. Well, actually, I started an octave. Let's try it here. I actually started up here with it. So it's kind of a pretty sound, I think. And I'm going to take it through the cycle, 2-5-1s, alternating between the measures, because now in this particular exercise I had it go chromatic, but I don't want to go chromatic. I'll show you that later. This is just going to go stepwise now. So I'm going into F here, then down, whole step into E flat, then D flat, now B, whoops, now A, now G. So that completes it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes. Okay, now the next set would be up a half step from where actually I'm going to go down a half step from where we started. We started here. I have to do both sets because we're working off of a whole tone scale, and there's 2 whole tone scales, so we have to do each whole tone scale. So this one goes F sharp. This is now into E major. Now D major. Now C. B flat. A flat. I goofed. Now G flat. If you have really good ears, you could probably do this by ear. You know, because you can hear when you make a mistake. It's pretty obvious, I think. Now, do it chromatically. It's more difficult, but it's a good exercise like this. That's into F. Now we're going to go into E. Now into E flat. Now into D. Now into D flat. Now into C. If you can do that by ear, you really got great ears. So that's all I'm going to do with this. You can read the sheet and learn them, and you can practice them in 2 ways. Practice as written, or start on the first measure and alternate measures, which is what I did, or start on the second measure and alternate measures. So it's a really good exercise for the drop 2, taking it through the cycle of fifths. Now we're going to move on to the same exercise applied to spread voicings, and you'll be able to hear the difference. The next exercise is taking the drop 2 technique and converting it to a spread voicing. Now, this was the drop 2 technique. This is the 2-5-1 into F. Okay, so you can see here's the 7th, flat 7 of the chord. Here's the 3rd of the chord. And here's the major 7th of the chord. And now here's the 6th of the chord. Now, we're going to add the root down here. So now we're going to have a fuller sound from the spread voicings. Maybe not quite as pretty a sound, but it's going to be fuller sounding because we're spreading it out more now. So we have like a full root, flat 7, flat 3, 5, 9 here. To here. Root, 3rd, 7th, 9, 5. Now resolving it to the F chord. Root, major 7, 3rd, major 3rd, 5th, 9 to the 6th now. Okay, so let's go through the set. 2, 5, 1 into F, 2, 5, 1 into E flat, into D flat, now into B, into A, and then into G. Now the other set, starting on an F sharp. This is 2, 5, 1 into E major now. Into D. Into C. Into B flat. Into A flat. And then into G flat. You could do them chromatically like this. Yes, there's a lot of different ways you could do this, but it's important to understand the difference between the drop 2 and also the spread voicings, and to know when to use them. So most of the time you'll be using spread voicings on ballads, with occasionally mixing in some drop 2 voicings to give it different color. So now we'll move on to the next exercise. The next exercise, I'm going to be taking the first exercise and putting it over 4 measures. And in other words, a chord progression that's going to be 2, 5, 1, and then a 6, and then 2, 5, 1. And that 6th chord can have a diminished quality to it as well. So let's say it'll be, in the key of F, it'll be G minor 7, C7 flat 9, F major 7, or A minor 7, and then a D7 flat 9, or an F sharp diminished, going to a 2, 5, 1 in F, or G minor 7, C7, F. So now, here's what it sounds like if I just played it with the right hand, voicing the chord with 4 notes. See, it almost sounds like it could be a tune. Could be the chord progression for a tune. So it's practical now. It's more practical than just an exercise that's just a drill. This has some musicality to it. So now, dropping in each of those 4 note chords, I'm dropping the 2. So this one's coming down to here. Now it's going to sound like this. Now let's put it into maybe a swing concept or a jazz concept. Like that. Now I continue it. You can continue it either going to the next one or skipping one and go through the cycle like that. If you can do this by ear, you're good. So, like, you know, I see I already messed it up. Like that. Then it continues from there. I'm not going to play all of them. You can read them on the sheet, but the alternate ones are like this. And these are harder, of course, because I'm starting out in sharp keys. This is like the 2, 5, 1 into E. Then it goes. Then it goes from there. Yeah, so these are really cool. I mean, you can practice these and do a lot of different things with them, you know, like. And And it really gets you to begin to understand the drop 2 exercise, or the drop 2 technique. I think you can really, if you practice this, then you'll really get good at drop 2. Like here's another one. We'll do the E, let's see, the E flat one. You can repeat them like a variety of ways, like that. I should practice these. I'd get good at drop 2. Okay, so this is a really good exercise, I think. We'll move on to the next exercise. This is going to be the last exercise in this video. And what it is I'm playing the spread voicings like this that I did earlier. And now I'm playing them just in the left-hand part and then putting a melody in the right hand. Actually, it's more like a drill type of melody rather than a melody. It's more like arpeggios going like this. Like that, and it fits like this. It goes right through the cycle like this. So that's a pretty cool exercise. This is not easy. Okay, so that's the first set. I don't really need to play the second set. Actually, I don't want to take more time, but I have to practice it more. But you can see how the advantage of these exercises are going to be not only developing your ear, developing your technique, developing your understanding of chord progressions and 2-5-1s and the cycle of fifths. That's now you start to apply all this knowledge to actually playing tunes, and you're going to be wailing, brother. So here we go. Let's wrap up now. As a final note, I'd just like to suggest that you might want to check out my book. Go to my website, click on my book, and you can look at the table of contents. I have in here a lot of the theory that I teach, and all the theory applied to specific examples and exercises, and then applied to songs. So there's quite a few songs, maybe 30 songs that you can learn to play in this book, along with the theory and the examples. So please check it out. And if you're interested, just email me, and I'll give you all the info. So thanks so much, and now we'll conclude. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch, and thanks for joining me, and please send me a comment. And that's all for exercises for now. The next thing coming up will be an arrangement of Take the A Train with a solo written out. So I'll see you next time around. And until then, I will say, in the words of my friend Hermie Dressel, God rest his merry soul, swing loose, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.